All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to walk through the entire journey of an international student here in the United States. And I mean the whole journey, from the moment you decide to come to long after you toss that graduation cap in the air. It's a path filled with rules, personal growth, and, let's be honest, some pretty big challenges. So let's start at the very beginning with that first wave of emotion.
This quote from a student from India it nails it, doesn't it? That feeling of pure excitement for what's ahead mixed with this deep sadness for what you're leaving behind. That complex feeling is really the backdrop for everything else that's about to happen. And the very first thing that happens? Paperwork. A lot of it.
Before you can even step on that plane, you need this, the F1 visa. This is the absolute foundation of your entire life as a student in the US. It's the legal document that allows you to study full-time, and trust me, understanding how it works isn't just a suggestion, it's everything. So let's kick things off with the absolute basics, the rules of the road. This first part is all about the legal stuff that makes everything else possible. It really boils down to understanding your visa and knowing exactly what you need to do to protect your status here.
Okay, so the one phrase you're going to hear over and over again is staying in status. This is super important. It basically means you're following three main rules. Number one, you have to be a full-time student, no exceptions. Number two, you can't just go get a job off campus. You need special permission for that. And number three, your SEVIS record, which is basically the government's file on you, has to be 100% accurate all the time. These aren't just suggestions, guys. They're the very bedrock of your legal right to be studying in the US.
Now, let's say you do get that permission to work, maybe an on-campus job or an internship. Well, get ready to meet your next piece of classic American bureaucracy. You're going to need a social security number. This little 9-digit number is a huge step toward feeling settled. It's the key to getting paid, opening a real bank account, a whole lot of things, really.
The process itself, it's pretty straightforward, but you have got to follow it to the letter. You can get a head start by applying online now, which is great. But then, and this is key, you have to gather up all of your original documents. And I mean originals, no photocopies. Then you take them to an office in person. After that, your card gets mailed to you. The main takeaway here is plan ahead and have every single piece of paper ready.
So, you've wrangled all the paperwork, you're legal, you're settled in. Now the real adjustment begins. This isn't about laws anymore. It's about getting used to a whole new culture, and believe it or not, a completely different way of learning, starting right inside the classroom. This is one of the first big differences that students notice. For many, like Sai Srijit from India, the education system back home was pretty formal, maybe even a little hierarchical. But here in the US, you walk into smaller classes with professors who expect you to talk, to ask questions, to challenge ideas. They're more like mentors. If you're used to mostly listening, that shift to active participation can be a huge, huge change. And this right here, this is such a perfect example of culture shock. It's not always some big, dramatic event. Sometimes it's just the small talk. Trying to have a 5-minute chat about the weather or American football when you have absolutely no idea what's going on. Those are the moments where you can feel the most like an outsider, and learning to navigate them is a really big part of the social journey. Okay, so you're getting the hang of the classroom, you're navigating the culture. What's next? Well, for a lot of students, the next big phase is getting that all-important professional experience and doing it right here on American soil. So that's the big question, right? You're here to study, but how do you legally build that bridge from being a student to starting a career? Well, the U.S. immigration system has two very specific and very different ways for you to do just that. Those two paths are called CPT and OPT, and you really, really need to know the difference. Let's make it simple. CPT, or Curricular Practical Training, is for work experience before you graduate. Think of it like a required internship that's part of your actual degree. OPT, Optional Practical Training, is for work experience after you graduate. But here's the most important difference. Look at that bottom row. CPT is authorized by your school, but OPT, that has to be approved by the federal government, USCIS. And that difference changes everything when it comes to timing and paperwork. And, whenever the government gets involved, you can usually expect a fee. To apply for that post-graduation OPT work permit, you're looking at a $410 application fee paid directly to USCIS. That's definitely a number you want to factor into your budget as you get closer to graduation. And this right here might be the single most crucial piece of advice for any graduating student. Do not wait. Government processing for OPT can take anywhere from 3 to, get this, 5 months.
Applying as early as you possibly can is the only way to make sure you have that permit in your hand when a great job offer comes along.
All right, let's step away from the big milestones like visas and jobs for a second and talk about the daily grind. Because let's be real, sometimes the biggest challenges aren't in an immigration office, they're in the grocery store aisle. I mean, just read this. This is a real question from a real student on Reddit. A hurricane had just hit, wiped out their food, and they were left with $50 to make it through the month. This isn't the glamorous study abroad picture you see online. This is the raw, unedited reality that so many students face. Super tight budgets, unexpected emergencies, and just the constant stress of making ends meet. But you know what's amazing? The community response to that post. The advice just poured in. People were suggesting everything. Check if your campus has a food pantry. Buy the super cheap, versatile veggies like cabbage. Tofu is your friend for cheap protein. And of course, lean on the staples, big bags of rice and beans. These aren't just clever tips. For a lot of students, these are actual survival strategies. And this really brings the whole journey full circle. Getting through the visa stress, the culture shock, the money worries, it's incredibly hard. There's no doubt about it. But as this quote reminds us, that struggle is also where the transformation happens. Getting through all these hurdles is how you become more resilient, more adaptable, a more capable person, period. So that's the journey. It's a challenging path, full of legal hurdles, cultural tests, and personal challenges. It takes a ton of resilience and a whole lot of careful planning. It's not for everyone, but for the people who do it, the transformation is undeniable. So I guess the real question isn't just, are you ready for it? It's, who will you become when you come out on the other side?